Robert is asking how can he create a picture, animation of a picture being ripped apart. Now I did it initially without this text on there. I don't know if that's what he wants also or if that's just an example, but that certainly could be done also. So let's see how we do that. Let me just show what I've done. So basically here is the picture being ripped apart. As I said, I didn't have any text on there, but we do have to create a rip in the picture, and we have to have a kind of a V shape, and then we have to add sort of the edge of the picture, the torn part. And we can play with the text if there's time, but let's just do this basic part here to begin with. Okay, so I will delete this from the timeline and we'll start from scratch. First thing we want to do is we want to take a picture and we want to place it on the timeline, and then what we want to do is we want to apply a mask to it. So we're going to go over here to, I don't need to win a prize, okay, mask, and we're going to select the draw mask. This allows us to give that zigzag look. These other ones are kind of straight, so we'll do the draw mask. And what we do is just right here in the preview window, and I'll just make it bigger this way. We will draw our zigzag line. We will have here, here, here. I'm not going to be perfect. I just want to create that zigzag effect. Okay, so we want these to be as close as possible to the edge. We can't go beyond the edge, but that's okay. So we will then put additional, we need to close the loop of the mask. Otherwise, we're going to be kind of stuck. So there we go. And then once we do this, now we have our half a mask. Now all we've got to do is to copy this, and we can go like this, copy, or we could just have done Control-C. And then we'll select the track above us, and we'll do Control-V. And you'll notice that we have track 1 and 2 now, and we don't have to have this selected anymore. Okay, so we've got our two tracks. I'm going to select the bottom track, and I'm going to go over here back to the mask, and I'm going to choose the invert mask, and we'll be like this. Now we can rip the picture apart, and that of course we're going to do with keyframes. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's add a keyframe, and we're back into Image, Basic, and the Transform. And basically we're going to use the X position and the rotate, and that's going to give us the effect that we want of ripping it. So the bottom picture is this part here, so we want that to kind of rotate over this way. So we can do that. Okay, we've added our keyframe here, but we want to move the playhead first to somewhere up here. We always want to leave a second or two here at the end so that the viewers get to see the finished product. If you run it all the way to the end, boom, you're past that right away, and then they don't really see how it ends. So let's just start with this right here. Okay, so at this point here, we can rotate this as much as we want. So maybe that much. We're going to rotate the other picture as well. So we could type in a value here. We can slide our mouse over it. There's different ways. So that's the one thing we want to do. And the other thing we want to do is just change the X value a little bit. So it's kind of like that. Let's go back to the curve one more time. Okay, I'm going to make it an even 10 degrees, okay? That way it will be easy to copy to the other one. So now we go back to the first, the other side of the picture, and we select it, and we add a keyframe, and that's in perfect position. Now we'll use this keyframe over here as the exact position where we want to add it on the other, on track 2. And so in this case, we want to go in the opposite direction, so we want to go -10. like that. And I forgot how much we had, but I think this just exposition, we went 91. Presumably we would go negative 91 here, negative 91. And that might be okay. I think that's a little excessive, so I'm going to move it back in. And I'm just going to slide with the mouse, kind of get a feel for it. And I think I want it up a little bit further too. All right, so there we go. Now we have the basic ripping apart, just like that. Okay. And what we're going to do is we want to put a little white edge on this, so it looks like it's paper that's been ripped, so it'll give it some depth. And the way we can do that in a simple sort of way would be to go back to basic here, image basic, and then go down to drop shadow. We can use the drop shadow. So we'll turn drop shadow on. We can use projection, and then we will kind of give it a little bit of distance. Okay, we want to change the color. Black color is a bad option for the edge. We want white, so we'll choose the white. And now when we put our distance on, we can see that it's there, and we kind of wanted all the edge there. So we're going to rotate the angle of the rip kind of there so it covers all the edges. Or maybe it shouldn't cover all the edges, but we want the opacity to be bright because it's just paper that's being ripped. And then we're going to get rid of the blur, so we're going to sharpen it up. You know, maybe for effect you want to have a little bit of blur just to make it fuzzy right at the edge. And then we adjust the distance right there. And that gives us that little torn effect. And at this point here is, well, we'll put in the keyframes for this using opacity. So we'll develop this a little bit later. Let's add a shadow to this side, okay? So we're at the same location. We're going to turn on drop shadow. We're going to choose projection. We're going to choose the color white. And we're going to rotate this thing around so we can see, there it is. It's kind of like that. We're going to go ahead and go full opacity. We're going to put the distance in a little bit. Okay, we don't need the white at the top, so I think we'll just change our rotation a smidge. And there, perfect. Well, maybe a little bit too much, but anyway, we do have a light source coming from the one side. So we have a skinny mark and a white mark. And that's pretty cool, except that when we go back, we have this white. So we don't want to have that white there. So we're going to add a keyframe for both of them, and we're going to make the opacity 0. In other words, transparent. So that was for the one side. And now put in a keyframe. Oh, I didn't even keyframe the right thing. I keyframed the angle. Okay, let's, this is what we want to, is the opacity is what we want to keyframe. So we'll put that to 0. Okay. So then I think that it starts to appear right here. You can already see the you know, the tear. So then we can probably, maybe like that. Okay, and then what we'll do is we will simply change the opacity to 100, and then we'll click on the other one, and we'll change that one. We didn't actually, okay, here we go. All right, we'll change this opacity to 100 at this location. Look at that. We didn't put this one at 0 in the beginning, so we need to go back here. Oh, maybe we did. Let's see what it looks like. There we go. And now we got our little rip of paper in there. And we'll call this take 2, and this time we're going to try to add the text in. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to put our picture down here on the track. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our title on track 2, like so. And these two together are going to be combined to what we call a compound clip. So we right click on them, and then we do create compound clip. And we'll call this side 1. And we'll say OK. And so now we have what we want in one line, which is what we need when we go to apply a mask. So now we select this, and just like we did with the picture, we simply select mask. Since the steps are identical to creating the original ones, I'm simply just speeding up the process so that you can see the text torn. All right, let's play it back, and this time we have text. If we want to text across it, that will also be ripped apart. There we go. I could have done a better job on this, but basically you get the gist.